Andy's already mentioned a few things about WordPress. I'm going to cover some of those, some of the security issues that some people have with open source software. I'm going to explain why WordPress is a good platform for you to start a new website on. It'll make your life a lot easier, and best of all, it's free. So here's just a quick overview of what we're going to cover. I'm not going to go through it quite now because we're going through it in the presentation. First of all, who am I? I'm Craig Parker. I've worked for Solar for quite a while now, about 4 years, Mark. I've been in search over 6 years, coming on for 7 years now, so I've been in SEO for a long time. I've seen a lot of changes in it. I spoke last year here, and I also write the MN white papers that you see go up on the site. Put a couple of them up now. I do the odd blog post on MN as well, and I do browse the forum and help you out sometimes. So, the question you'll be asking yourself first is, why would you choose WordPress? There really are loads of content management systems out there. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. Why would you choose WordPress? I think it's the best platform personally, partially for SEO, partially just because it's a comprehensive platform. It's free, no cost, just download it from wordpress.org. It's really easy. It's supported. Now, it's open source, which is why I'm saying it's supported. Some people would see this as a downside. Some people see open source software as a security risk. They see it as not reliable. That's true. Some open source software is. WordPress isn't. It's supported by such a large brand, Automatic, the people who actually own the WordPress Foundation. They run it a non-profit. They've got a lot of their own developers, and they also take contributions from literally millions of people who develop plugins and security patches for WordPress every single day. If you wanted to, you could download a new version of WordPress every 12 hours or so, because that's how often they put a build out. WordPress is easy to use. Loads of hosting sites, HostGator, Blue Square, almost any host, PHP Linux hosting service, will offer a WordPress installation service. So it's easy to use, easy to install, easy to back up and restore if you have problems anyway. WordPress, in my opinion as well, is also the most flexible platform out there. I've used a lot of CMSs, Movable Type, Expression Engine, Google's Blogger platform. I've used almost every CMS that is out there to try, and WordPress is by far the most flexible platform. Plugins are free, they're easy to get hold of, most of them work out of the box, and more than anything, WordPress will make it easy to install those plugins, because I guarantee you pick up Magento or Movable Type and try and install a plugin on it to turn it into something else, and it's going to take you 4 or 5 days. You do it on WordPress. The example here, the e-commerce store, I've seen someone set that up in 10 minutes, literally, go from a nothing site to an e-commerce store in 10 minutes. A little bit of basics on hosting. This is what you need. The requirements here, PHP 4.3, MySQL 4.1, Apache and mod rewrite. They're the very basic requirements. They're a little bit technical maybe for some people who don't know about hosting and stuff, but 99% of any hosting company you get out there is going to have these on them. They're very low point requirements. What you should really try and look for, the thing that's going to make your life super easy, is hosts with cPanel and Fantastico, because these will install WordPress automatically for you, and they also maintain a lot of stuff automatically. So do look out for that. I personally recommend HostGator. It's cheap. It is US hosted, so sometimes if you try to do UK targeting, it's not as good. And also, it's relatively cheap to get the dedicated IPs Andy was talking about earlier. It's all around. It's just a cheaper, reliable host. It's not the best in the world, but it is cheap and reliable. Setting up WordPress, I'm going to quickly fly through this. But if you get cPanel and Fantastico, you literally go into the back end of your site and you choose Install Me WordPress, and that is it. You just put a couple of details in, password, username, and press go. It's very, very easy. I've put a link in this presentation to a secure password generator. Do not use named passwords to install things like WordPress. It's just too risky. Use a randomly generated password. There's a link there. There's a full version of the URL at the end of the presentation in case you don't download this from more niche. Use it. Do not just put your name in there. It's just not secure. The one other thing I'd recommend when you're setting up a WordPress blog, it asks you to put an administrator user. It uses admin by default. Don't use admin by default, because that just makes you way easier to hack, because there are a bunch of hack tools out there that will just try admin as the default username. So just change it to your own name. They've got no way of knowing probably what your name is. It just makes you that little bit less of a target. Dropped a link on there as well. If you don't have fantastic SEO, if your host hasn't got this service, WordPress is still very easy to install. There's a 5-minute install page there. WordPress host it themselves. It's got about 15, 20 steps, and you'll be up and running. Okay, so the main reason I'm going to be talking today is about WordPress and SEO. Once your WordPress site's up and running, you're going to want to look about SEO straight away. It's got a lot of good features. WordPress does auto-generate URLs, and it even generates title tags and meta tags for you all automatically. But not everything's perfect. There's plugins we can use to make it better. First thing we'll look at is URLs and permalinks. So just to fill you in on some terminology, a permalink is just what WordPress calls the front-end URL that your user would go to. So if your site's example.com, a permalink might be example.com/cake. By default, permalinks are actually off on WordPress. You do have to turn them on. They're in the settings menu. They're very easy to find, settings, permalinks. I recommend you always set them up when you set the blog up. Do not spend 6 months blogging and then turn permalinks on, because you're going to break all the links you've built. You're going to break all the posts you've done. It's not good. You could manually redirect them, but it's still not great for SEO. So I recommend always do it at the start, definitely no more than a few months in. Inside WordPress's admin section, when you're actually posting a little post, WordPress refers to the individual page permalinks as slugs. Again, that would be just the cake part of the URL in that example. This is a little guide for anybody who doesn't know how to do it, to set permalinks up. It's a little bit irrelevant running through it now, but when you come to doing this, when you come to installing WordPress, you can just follow these little bullet points through, and that'll get you it all set up, and it'll make it a bit easier for you. The important part to remember is the chmod file permissions. If you're using FTP to do this, and you might have to change the permissions on your htaccess file so WordPress can successfully rewrite your URLs. Do not leave those permissions at anything other than 777 or 775, because people can hack your site if you do. Just remember to change them back. This guide will tell these bullet points tell you how. Like I say, irrelevant now, but when you've got your screen in front of you, just follow them through. It should help you a lot. Okay, so you've got your htaccess writable for now. You go into the settings and permalinks section in WordPress, and I recommend you choose one of these 3 layouts for your permalinks. Post name will make your site have relatively small URLs. So I'll use my cake example. You've got a page about cake. You set the title to cake. It'll make your URL automatically just cake. If you've got a lot of news stories, then I recommend you use category post name. That's quite simple. We'll put the name of the category the post is in, followed by the name of the post. So it might be recipes, cake. The last one, the post ID post name, is a speed optimization choice. If you're going to run a site that has got a lot of posts, maybe you're wanting to post 2 or 3 times a day, then I recommend you use this. The reasons are a little bit technical, but it's mainly down to the fact that the post ID tag is not a rewritten one. So WordPress doesn't have to rewrite the request every time it's asked. It can use a quick one first, and then it can worry about the rest of it later. There's been a lot of optimization tests done on WordPress, and that is the quickest rewrite that we can have. If you want to, you can, at the end of your permalink, you can put .html or PHP. I don't really recommend you do it. It's just a vanity thing. Some people like to look like they're running PHP or HTML. There's a category basis option on that page and tag base option. They should both be blank. Don't enter those. It's bad for your SEO. It lengthens the URL unnecessarily. When you press save, you choose which one you want. You press save. If it tells you your htaccess is not writable, then you just need to go back to the step before and make sure you follow these permissions. If this 644 permission isn't low enough and you're still getting the error, you might want to consider either downloading the htaccess file and pasting this stuff in manually yourself, or being very quick about sorting it out automatic. Okay, some more SEO URL advice. This plugin, I'm going to be using these little blue boxes throughout this presentation. These link to WordPress plugins that I recommend you install. Again, I do recommend you go through and do this at the start of your blogging, at the start of you installing WordPress, because doing it later down the line is going to create linking complications. The first thing is that WordPress does by default install at the HTTP level. So if you set up a new site, example.com, it won't be www.example.com, it'll set it up at http://example.com. It's really easy to fix. You just go back into your settings, general, like it says there, and just pop www in those two fields and press save. That'll fix it. And don't worry if it just logs you out and logs you back in again. That's just a cookie issue. The plugin I've recommended on this one will stop something called stop words appearing in your URLs. This is things like in, and, at. They're basically keywords that, well, words that Google ignores inside keywords. So you'll frequently see Google do things where it'll say, I've searched instead for this. So you might just go photos at Paris, but really it only searches for photos Paris. It doesn't search for the at because nobody would bother. And this plugin will strip those words out so you've got more efficient URLs, they're shorter, the better. Some other SEO plugins. The best all-round SEO plugin I recommend is Yoast's WordPress SEO plugin. There are about 50 I know of WordPress SEO plugins. A lot of people recommend all-in-one. A lot of people recommend Headspace. They're both rubbish compared to Yoast's. It's relatively new. It's only been out for about 6 months, but it is the best plugin. There's a link to it. There's also a link to, well, it's wrong, I've just realised, but I'll fix it, to the settings that I use on it. So you guys won't even have to go through all the settings. You can just upload my settings template, and that'll set all the indexing up, all the URL structures, all the title structures and metadata structures. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. What I have done is, I know it's really important, to know why all these settings are going to be set up. So in the full version of this presentation that you can download online, I've gone through every setting and explained why I chose each setting. I do recommend you read that because, like I say, automating things is all well and good, but you should know why you're doing the things you're doing, and that contains what you need to know. The little links there, Google, Bing, Yahoo, webmaster tools for each of the major search engines. Install them, use them, just don't not do it. They give you such valuable data for SEO in general. It's really easy to put them inside WordPress. Make sure you do them. If you're not doing them already, you're wasting a big opportunity. So this is just a little bit of an overview about how you would import my settings. You install the plugin on WordPress. Again, my full version of the presentation contains instructions of how to install plugins. If you're brand new to WordPress, that'll show you how to do it. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's already installed. It'll pop this little box into your admin section. You just click import, you choose my settings file and import it in. The only thing you'll have to do is to go to the title section and set your homepage title and meta description, because obviously that's not an automatically generated one. You need to set it statically, and I can't predict what yours is going to be. So you need to make sure you go in and do that. It does have some indexation settings in the settings file, including blocking certain parts of your site. So one of these, for example, is your tag archive. WordPress sorts posts by tags, categories, dates. If you let all of them get indexed, they duplicate content. So I usually recommend you keep your categories indexable and block the other ones with, not with robots.txt, but with index, no follow and no index. But the settings file will sort that out for you. Okay, images. We know image SEO is important. I've seen some sites get 2,000 or 3,000 hits a month from Google Images quite easily. We can automate some of it. I do recommend that important images, header images, things like that, you do the alt and title tags yourself. But here, there is a plugin that makes it a little bit easier for the littler pictures. There's the link to it. Install it. There's the settings that I recommend. All you need to do is type those into the thing and press save, and whenever you upload an image, it's going to automatically put the alt text in that's the same name as the image. This means that the only thing you've got to really be concerned about is naming your image something good. So if you've got a picture of a cake, make sure it's called cake and not DSC219 or something like that. Okay, one of the best things about WordPress is it's fantastic for internal link structure and hierarchies. I can't emphasize enough how important this is getting in SEO, because it's one of the things that kind of separates a good site and a bad site is how easy it is to navigate, how easy it is for people to find what they're doing. And if you've got good SEO and a good site that's linking to itself well and people can browse, switch between your articles, they're much more likely to complete a desired conversion, they're much more likely to stay on your site. So a couple internal link plugins we're going to look at. This one will automatically link post keywords. So you could write an article, again, about cake, and we could make it automatically link to other posts on your site. I've actually modified this plugin. Well, I say it's actually Mornisha's team helped me with this, but we modified this plugin to have a special style on it. So I'm going to give you my version, which is on the Solar website, but the copyright and the ownership of this plugin is with a site called SEO ROI. To edit the options on it, you go into your WordPress dashboard, choose keywords, and you're presented with this screen. All we've got is 3 columns. The one on the left is the keyword you want to link. The one in the middle is the destination URL, and the one on the right is how many times during that post you want the plugin to activate. Now, you want to keep that times column pretty low because sometimes, say if you do a post about Fen, you're going to mention Fen a lot in your post. You're going to say Fen's a great product, people have bought Fen. If it's going to go and stick an automatic link in there every time you mention Fen, it's going to look ugly and it's going to look spammy. So keep that to maybe 1 or 2 times. The URL column, you put either a post from your own site in there that you want to rank for that keyword, or you can put your affiliate links in there as well. It's another great way of getting your affiliate links in there, getting your cookie dropped, and it does it automatically. You don't have to worry about it. And finally, keyword column, that's pretty obvious. You just put the keyword you want the link to appear around. This will only work on text links, by the way. It won't work on images at all. All you do in the keyword column, you simply put the keyword that you want linking, and if you want more than one link, more than one keyword to go from this link, you just separate them with a pipe bar, with shift backslash on your keyboard on US and UK keyboards anyway. That'll mean you can vary those links up. So maybe if it's Fen, you might say have Fen, and then a pipe bar, and then Fen 375, then another pipe bar, and Fen space 375, because they're all variations of that keyword. They're all important, and you don't want to have to create 3 separate entries just for that. Again, I emphasize, don't link more than once or twice per post per keyword. It'll get very messy very fast. The int link class, CSS class, for people who understand CSS and styling, can be styled to make your link look a little bit more subtle so it's not as in your face. Remember, it's not really cloaking to style a link the same as text, but it's not very good for usability, so don't do that. Be sure to do home and deep pages with that. So maybe say if you want to rank for the Fen keyword, sometimes make those links go to homepage, sometimes make them go to your relevant deep articles. Don't always make them all go to home because that looks a little bit unnatural and it could cause you problems. There's no opt-out on this. This will happen on every post, every page of the WordPress site, which is very good in a lot of ways, but it does mean you need to restrict how often you use it. You need to restrict how many keywords are going to be in that list. You don't want thousands and thousands of rows or your whole text is going to end up being links. There is an alternate version of this plugin, if you don't like the one I've given here. It's called SEO Smart Links. It's got a premium version, so you do have to pay for it. I've used it a little bit. It's better in some ways, but the fact you have to pay for it means it's probably not worth it. Okay, carrying on internal links. With WordPress, you get a normal blog site, and one of the things you can do is customize menus. Very important that you highlight the pages that are important to you on your site. This could include product keyword reviews, as I mentioned here. It could include your About You pages, that maybe if you want to focus on a character that you're blogging around or something. So custom menus are important. By default, WordPress will just link, well, most WordPress themes will link to categories and pages in your header. I'm sure you've all seen a WordPress site before. You've all seen they'll just have a row, top navigation with all the categories and stuff in. It's great for just general usability, but it's not as good for your SEO. You want to get keywords in there. It might not be the category name. You might be a bit longer. So this is how you do it. In the appearance section of WordPress, there's a menus bar. It's really easy to use. You basically create a new menu, and it'll pop up something like this. And then you can just add lists to it. You can either do a custom link, which is basically you type in the anchor text and URL. You can drag categories and pages that exist already on your site onto that link, so that then they'll update automatically whenever you add stuff to the category. And you can also nestle things like this, like you see they're indented, so that when you hover over one option, it gives you a drop down if that's what your theme supports, or maybe it'll push things to the side, like many website navigations do. Good for when you've got like this a bunch of reviews, you want to go product 1 review, product 2 review. Some WordPress themes make it really easy to edit these, and they have this little option called theme locations, where you can just choose from the Dropbox the menu you just created, and it will automatically insert it in there. Not every WordPress theme has that. It's a relatively new feature. It was WordPress 3.0, I think. So it's relatively easy to use on that if your theme has it. Not all of them do. If your theme doesn't have it, you can still use the menu you've just created. All you do is go into your widget section, drag the custom menu widget over, and choose it again from the drop-down box. You can see there it says select menu. That's really easy. It'll put it in whichever widget area you've added it to. Sometimes, well, most frequently that's a sidebar on WordPress, but many WordPress themes now do contain header sidebars, footer sidebars, so you've got a lot of chances to customize it. You can add as many menus as you like. Obviously, you need to be conservative, because if you've got thousands of links going off on your page to all your internal pages, that's not great for your SEO. But you can split them up into little categories, find your 10, 20 most important pages and link statically to them with relevant keywords. It's going to really help your SEO and really help people use your site, get around your site. If you don't like doing custom menus, maybe your theme doesn't support them. Actually, Sandy's suggested this plugin. There's a plugin that automates it, essentially. You install the plugin, it's down here, this category posts one, and then you simply use the widget to choose a category, and it can automatically make the last, say, 5, 10 posts from that category appear in your sidebar on your homepage. It's pretty good, actually, as a plugin goes. It's very easy to use. It looks good on the site. The only obvious issue is that if it's taken the last 5 posts, they're not always static. So if you really want to focus on some of your pages on your site, you really want to get a particular keyword rank in, then you're better off making a static menu. But this is still pretty good for basically exposing the internal pages. Some more internal link stuff is related posts. So you can imagine someone's coming onto your site, they hit an article, maybe about fen again. You can get WordPress to show them articles that are also about fen. So maybe, say, the article they land on is what ingredients are in fen. They're reading about what it is, what it's made of. You can use this plugin that I'm suggesting here to drop it into your sidebar, and it'll provide them with links that are also about fen. So maybe one of your other articles is how much is fen to buy. And it's pretty reasonable to assume that a buyer or a browser who comes to your site, especially internally into an article like that, is going to be wondering how much is this product? I know what's in it now. How much is it? Maybe one of your other articles is where can I buy it? So you can your post. You've got an SEO person, you've got an SEO visitor, or even a PPC visitor comes into this article about fen's ingredients. Then on the little right hand side and just underneath. You can provide links automatically to related content, and I guarantee that you will keep people on your site longer if you use this, because I've seen the results myself. It's relatively easy to set up. Make sure you read the plugins installation instructions though, because there's a special step in this one that's different to normal plugins. I just want to show you this. This is a bit text heavy for a WordPress site for me, but it's because I'm using example keywords and text. So this is just a affiliate demo site that I set up to show you how these menus are working. It's not using any kind of intro text, it's just chucking the post in on the main one. It's got a categories menu, a latest posting, highlight them here. So basically, the one in purple is WordPress default navigation. I've not changed that at all, that's just picking up what I've put inside the blog. The one in the pinky border, that's just post content, so if you were to add an article, that's where it's going to appear. The plugin that Sandy's recommended that I talk about is the one that's in the yellowy green colour, pulling little snippets back and just bullet pointing a list of what's there. The pink, is it pink or grey categories nav? That's WordPress's default category function, simply providing a list of categories. But the 2 navigations on the further right, they're custom menus that I've added to highlight pages on the site. So you can imagine being a user coming onto this site. We've got quite a lot of links going at you straight away, but what you have got is almost every possible way of navigating the site that you would need. There's the top nav that you're used to seeing. There's categories that if you're looking for a specific kind of review, you could see it there. And then all the custom menus would provide, say, links to specific product reviews. You could screen out for Fen or Capsiplex or anything. And that way, when they land, they can see that there's a lot of choice straight away. And more than anything, it gives you a good SEO benefit. Okay, moving on from internal linking, WordPress does a fantastic RSS feed. How many people are familiar with RSS here? Right, okay. RSS lets you syndicate your content easily around the web. Some people would argue that syndicating your content isn't a great thing because people could easily steal it or they don't have to come to your site. Maybe that's true, but it also has a lot of advantages. Here, just you can embed it in other blogs, cross-linking, you can submit to RSS directories, you can encourage people to subscribe to your site. There are advantages to it, and I do think it's worth you using. So to get to the RSS feed of a WordPress site, you simply put /RSS on the end of any category or the website. So it doesn't matter what category you're in on WordPress, if you put /RSS on the end, it will give you a feed for just that category. If you do it on your homepage, it'll give you a feed for the whole site. If you do it on an author archive, it gives you a feed for just that author. So it's a very useful tool because, say, if you've got 2 or 3 authors on your site and you want to only pull your posts back, you could just go to example.com, Craig, /RSS, and it would bring all of my posts back. Very, very useful feature. Make sure you explore it. Big question, WordPress has got 2 posting systems, pages and posts. Which one should you use? It's hard. It can be hard for a new user of WordPress to understand this, but it's a few simple rules here that will help you decide. So use a page if it's a long-term content, so won't go out of date easily. Another great example would be the ingredients page on Fen. That's, it's not going to change. The ingredients of Fen are the ingredients of Fen. You're not frequently going to change it. Important content, so a piece of information you really want people to see, really should go on a page. This might be your sales pitch, or in terms of affiliates, it might be the page that's comparing all the products for people to click through on. Required content, so people are using PPC, you've got to have your terms and conditions, your policy pages. They're going to have the cookie stuff soon. Required content should go as a page because you want to make sure that people can always access it. And standalone information, so information that wouldn't fit in a category. Maybe your site is about weight loss pills, but you've got to have a standalone information page about where your business is located. Use a post when you've got similar content that can be easily grouped. So this might be reviews of weight loss products. Your category would be weight loss review products or weight loss products, and each post inside that would be a review of a different product. Categories, group posts are individual things inside a category. It's relatively simple, but it's important to remember, easily grouped. That's when you need to use a post. Time-sensitive content. Because posts are less important than pages, you should use it for time-sensitive content. Example here, best diet tips of 2011, or other time-sensitive link-bait stuff. That should be a post ideally, because eventually it's going to lose its importance. Eventually, it's not going to be as important as it is now, and you don't want it taking up space on the pages section. News content, in a very similar way, is time-sensitive. It's better off as a post, and more often than not needs to be categorized. Otherwise, it would be hard for any user to filter through it. But just remember, more than anything, when you're looking at pages, posts, which one to do, posts should be part of categories which have multiple posts in them. You shouldn't be creating hundreds of categories just to put one post in. You should be creating a few worthwhile categories and then some pages that are important to back those up. I'm going to move on to some content advice, because I think this is probably the thing that people will most be bothered about when they're doing blogging online or creating a site for SEO. It's not really WordPress specific. I just wanted to make sure that you guys have got some good ideas when you come out of here. So this one is WordPress specific though. Posts and page titles are very important. If you're using the permalinks that I showed you earlier, the page title is going to constitute your URL. So it needs to be something keyword friendly. It needs to be something that describes the post. I was only just talking to Rob about exposure in SERPs. It's very important, I think, going forward that you consider that click-through rate in SERPs is going to be important. Therefore, your URL also needs to grab users. If you've got a cryptic URL that's just full of numbers and letters, it's not good for your SEO. People aren't going to understand it. If you've got a nice title and a nice URL that are going to grab them, it easily describes your post, what are the ingredients of fen, for example, then not only is it great for for your SEO, it's great for your users. Don't make your post titles too reliant on time, purely because time passes quicker than you think. And you might spend 2 hours writing an article, you put 2011 in the URL, and it's really good, you like it, but then all of a sudden it's 2012, you're still getting visitors to that page, but they're gonna look down on the content because it's 2011, it's last year's stuff. So I recommend where possible, instead of saying the best diet tips of 2011, say this year. Then that way, when that post is still ranking next year or you're still doing PPC to it next year, you can update it with some information. It's still a relevant page. You haven't got to create a new page. You're going to keep all that ranking stuff. Ensure you write unique, exciting excerpts for all your posts and pages. So excerpts are field in the back of WordPress. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a summary of what you've wrote about. So you write an article, what are the ingredients of fen? Your excerpt should be saying this is what the article is about. It's an article about the ingredients of fen. It's on my blog, example.com, and you'll like it. They don't need to be too keyword heavy. Think of them a lot like a meta tag, and in fact, in WordPress, these are your meta tags. So your meta description tag will come from your excerpt if you use the setup I'm using. So it needs to be fairly keyword friendly, but more than anything, it needs to engage a user looking at Google search results. Remember, that's the important thing. It's all right ranking, but if you've got nothing in there to pull people in, they're going to click a different result. On the same note, your categories also have something called descriptions, which act exactly the same as excerpts. They're your category page meta descriptions. Make sure when you create a category, you create a good description for it. Don't just put testimonials, because it's not going to be any good. Making your blog easy to read. This is a design point, but more than anything, make it sectioned off. When you're doing a post, make sure you use subheadings and you break up your text. And if you do use subheadings H2, H3, make sure they're keyword friendly. And really, because there's no point in making an article or a post inside WordPress that looks ugly. It's really, really easy to make it look good. There's a Wysiwyg Editor, for people who don't know what that is, that, like Word, like Microsoft Word. So you don't even need to know design and CSS. You can style it inside that. It's just drop downs, just like Word. And I believe you can actually also import from Word now as well. So you can just import it straight from Word. You don't need to know any HTML, any CSS. It'll just work. But it's been drilled into you all 1,000 times. The number one thing for content is make it unique. You can't afford to waste time. Certainly not post Panda. They've made it even worse. If you want some advice, some ideas for posts, this ProBlogger article, I don't know how many of you guys read ProBlogger, I assume quite a few. That ProBlogger article, even though it's quite old, is fantastic. It's just got a list of post types, things you could explore for ideas on posting and articles. And it will give you a really, really good source of inspiration for posts. Okay, tags inside WordPress. You may or may not know of them all already. Use tags to group content across categories that aren't the same. So maybe you've got reviews, but some of your reviews are weight loss reviews, and some of them are teeth whitening, and some of them are beauty products. And they would all be in separate categories because you're not going to group those together. But what you could do is use the review tag to group them all in a special category. Tags essentially, they don't have much SEO value, but they do have a lot of browser value. And if you're going to use them, don't use more than about 4 or 5 a post. Don't go putting 60 tags in there just for the keyword volume, because it's not worth it. I often recommend using author bios inside WordPress to add trust to sites. That's a plugin that will add the author bio to the bottom of the article, to the sidebar. I'm sure you've all read about from conversions and stuff, identifying somebody is important. If you're a faceless website, you're nothing. But if you've got a nice article, there's accompanied by a little box that's got information about the author of the article, you look a lot more approachable, a lot more trustworthy, and much more likely to get a click through to your affiliate stuff. Think carefully about your category structure. Information architecture, which is how a site is designed and the levels of the categories and posts is the most overlooked thing I see on affiliate sites. You've got to think about how your site is structured. Think about minimizing categories, minimizing how big each category is, and think more about efficiency, because it's all well and good having hundreds of pages that could potentially rank, but 100 potentially ranking pages is not as good as one ranking page. So it's better to have one category with lots of good posts than 50 categories spread over 50, 60 keywords. Follow set themes for similar posts. So a good example is to say, do like a review section. So if you have a bunch of reviews, make sure that they all look similar. So they've all got the same size product image. They've all got the same fields for rating, for example, quality, customer support, price. Don't make one review price and customer support, and another review availability and taste, because it's just not, it wouldn't work for content, and it won't work for SEO either, because you won't have a consistent theme. Motivation is the most important thing when you're writing posts. Be positive about your work. It's simple as that. Okay, a great idea if you're stuck, use WordPress.com, use Google, search for other blogs, look at what other people in your industry are doing. Don't copy them, but use their ideas for inspiration. Maybe you'll see a good plugin they're using. Maybe you'll see a good content theme. Maybe they're doing like a weekly review of a medical journal in a diet field, or maybe they're doing a teeth whitening test, something you can take the idea from and do yourself. Don't steal and copy and paste their content, but there's nothing wrong with running similar themes in your blogs. It's also very useful, to read inside your niche. A lot of people don't do the research. They run a diet site, but they don't really know what the diet pills do. Make sure you read blogs from the niche. Make sure you understand the need for the product. So really, there's not really an SEO point, really a copywriting point. Just understand the need for your product. And it's very easy to do with WordPress. It's to go meandering on and easily just write loads of posts about something to do with weight loss when you don't really know or care about it. So make sure you care about the subject and make sure you know. One thing I see affiliates doing all the time is putting a theme up on WordPress, slapping an image or video in there, and it's just not sized correctly. Make sure when you put a video in, you size it to fit your content area. You don't need it overlapping into your sidebar or anything like that. YouTube makes it so easy to embed videos of any size. It's got a little customization button that you can change the width and height of. So make sure you use things like that, and make sure when you put an image in, you check your posts afterwards, make sure it's not overlaying on your text or onto your sidebar or menus and stuff, because it looks bad. And like Andy said earlier, there's more and more manual Google reviews going out, and that kind of poor website maintenance is what will get you kicked. If maybe you're an affiliate site, they're thinking, I don't know whether to kick you or not, and then you've got videos all overlapping on your navigation. They're going to think you don't care. Use internal search data, so inside analytics, inbound keyword data, and Google's Wonder Wheel to come up with the ideas for post titles, because if you're stuck for post titles, then find out what people are coming to your site. Rob said earlier, go into your keyword report. If someone's coming into your site for keywords that you haven't got an article for, which does frequently happen, then why not make an article about it? Why not people coming to your site for what the ingredients are fen, and you've not got a page that's dedicated to the ingredients? Why not make one? Get yourself higher in the rankings, or get a second page in the rankings. The Wonder Wheel, I talked about that last year. Still the most underused SEO tool. Google's Wonder Wheel is brilliant. It's on their search tools on the main Google site. You just have to drop the sidebar down. It tells you Google's opinion on related topics, and it's very, very useful for coming up with post ideas. Use Google Trends as well. Google Trends and Google Insights are just trends.google.com, insights.google.com. Put your keyword in there, find out the rise in searches, find out the time of year that your product needs a good post about it. If you go to Google Trends, you put fen in, you find that, or you put weight, it's better off to go with the subject. So you put weight loss pills in, you find that people buy weight loss pills in June, then do a post about what's best this summer, what's the best weight loss pill this summer. And publish it a couple of weeks before that peak in trends, and you're going to be much more likely to get interest out there, especially if you link that up with social media. And And think about when you post. Don't post at 2 a.m. in the morning for your main demographic. If you've got a US or UK site, then think about when you're posting. People can't read your post if you put it live when they're at work. And again, this is important. If you hook it up to social media, WordPress easily hooks up to social media, so it automatically tweets and Facebook's out. Don't put that live when people can't be accessing their social media sites. Put it live at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I believe are the high sites, and then there's another peak at around 8 to 11. And you can actually schedule posts with WordPress very easily to go live whenever you want. So you can write the post at 2 a.m. in the morning, but tell it to go live at 7 at night. It's just on the post screen. It's just on the little clock on a calendar. And you click on that. So do be aware of when you're posting. Okay, I'm going to move on to security. The biggest downside that anybody could level at WordPress is that it's open source and therefore has a slight security issue. It is not a big deal if you stay updated. That is the only, if you take nothing away about WordPress security, just make sure you keep your blog updated. This is so important that Google have recently modified webmaster tools to send you personalized alerts when WordPress is out of date. It literally, 99.9% of WordPress hacks will occur on outdated blogs. It's got an automatic update feature. If your WordPress blog's out of date, it'll drop a little warning when you sign in, and you just press update automatically and enter your FTP details. I've almost never seen it have a problem. It's very easy, and there's no reason not to do it. You should also keep your plugins up to date. Some plugins update, some plugins don't. Again, WordPress will notify you when you sign in. There'll be little numbers in your sidebar. Make sure you keep them up to date, and you're not going to have a problem. The other thing is, in your head section, WordPress leaves a tag, a version tag. So say if you posted a page on WordPress, it would say, oh, this page was generated by WordPress 3.6.1 on February or whatever. That's kind of dangerous because hacker scraper tools use that tag to identify out-of-date blogs. But the SEO plugin I've recommended does actually remove that tag automatically. So it's not so much of an issue. If you don't use that SEO plugin, find another one that does remove it, because if you ever forget to update or you're just lazy and don't update, that is the easiest way you'll get hacked because people know what version you're using.
Great.
Okay. Check out my HC Access document if you've not already. That gives you some more WordPress security advice. And like I said earlier, chmod in your FTP, don't leave it low because people can modify your files. I've recommended a backup plugin. Again, very easy. It does it all automatically. Just install your plugin, and that will back up all your images, all your posts, all your theme files every day, every week. You can choose the settings yourself. WordPress can be sped up easily as well. WordPress Smush It, good plugin. It basically makes your images load quicker. There's no setup to be done. Just install it and you're off. Caching is the other major WordPress thing for speeding it up. I can't go through how to set up caching on here. It's a little bit complicated. I've linked to a very, very good guide there that tells you how to do it, and I've linked to the best plugin. If nothing else, make sure you set up gzip. It's in that guide, very easy to do. And remember, there's always more you could do with WordPress. There's some great plugins. Check them out when you've got time. Things like turning it into an e-commerce thing, adding RDFA markup for recipes so you can get into Google recipe search, and lots of other little things for affiliates are in there. And that's it. Does anyone got any questions?
Okay, we've got a few questions. Craig, I'm sure the next speaker won't mind.
Cheers. Why would you say the SEO plugin you recommended at the start was better than all-in-one SEO?
It's partially things like security protocols, like it removes the header stuff. It has more advanced indexing control. So all-in-one SEO, basically all the all-in-one SEO does is let you put it includes whatever you want in the thing, and you can customize it to go any patterns, but it doesn't do any more than that. It's only all it does is insert whatever pattern you've put inside its settings into the header. But Yoast SEO plugin, it does a lot more. It's got a sitemap generator built into it. It's got a breadcrumb navigation thing built into it. And more than anything else, it's just a little bit better built. It's a little bit more reliable. I will say, however, that it is still newer. So all-in-one SEO does have the advantage of the fact it's been tested more, less compatibility problems in the long run. Headspace, which is the other popular WordPress SEO thing, is very good if you want to use things like remarketing code or website optimizer. That if you want to use one of those kind of services, then Headspace is the plugin for you, because it lets you put whatever code you want in. But just to emphasize, all-in-one SEO is not a bad plugin. It's just I find Yoast better, and it also you can import automatically, so it's very easy.
Any more questions? Yeah.
If somebody's spent all of the time building up a static website instead of using WordPress, would you recommend, and what's the best way for them to implement WordPress?
I don't think, if you've got a currently ranking static site or it's doing you all right at the minute, I don't recommend that you convert just for the sake of having WordPress. WordPress has got a lot of advantages, basically in terms of automation. You don't have to do the meta tags in every single one of your pages. These plugins are going to do them for you. But if you were to want to convert a site, the best way to do it would simply be to copy and paste each page content. So don't even go into the HTML, get the content from the page and just paste it into WordPress's Wysiwyg Editor and just make it page by page. There are some tools that do it. I have seen plugins and tools that do it, but none that are reliable and none that I would recommend.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'd agree, a guy who really knows his subject. Big round of applause for Craig.